So, this is going to be my journey to $1 million in my trading account. I'm not necessarily knowing if that's going to be total between my professional trading accounts and also my personal brokerage accounts, but this is going to be my road to 1 million. Who am I? I have been someone who's been into the markets since probably the start of 2017 is when I really got into investing. At that time, it was with binary options. And if you don't know what binary options are, be thankful because nothing but degenerates and scammers. Yeah, you want to stay away from that. um, the next thing that I pivoted towards was penny stocks, which I think that's typically kind of the process. I don't know about now, but at that time, that was kind of where a lot of people were. It was penny stocks because of the movie Wolf of Wall Street being so popular. You hear about penny stocks, like, how can I make money? Like, I heard you can make a lot of money and become rich from it. Yeah, stay away from those as well. Um, so I spent a little bit of time in the penny stocks. I got away from it. And the next thing that I kind of pivoted towards was options. Because my cousin, he was doing options, learning about options. He's like, hey, like, come on, come do options. Like, I know you can do it. I know you're smart enough to figure this out. I'm like, uh, I guess, like, let me see what you're talking about. So I got into learning options, and from the beginning, it was like, wow, like, this is all confusing. You have a bunch of option chains, you have all these different Greeks like delta, gamma, theta. Like, what does all this mean? Like, it's just very confusing. Like, I'm used to just normal buy, it goes up, you make a certain amount of money, you sell, that's it. So it wasn't until that next year where I got into Forex, and there was a guy on YouTube, a professional trader, shout out VP from No Nonsense Forex, where he really laid the foundation for me as a trader, um, because he had traded professionally. He knew what it took to become a professional trader. He wasn't like a lot of the YouTubers out there where they would say like, "Oh, you can make a lot of money. Like, this is easy. This is a really easy strategy. Just do this." Like, no, he was like the channel, his name, No Nonsense Forex. He gave it to you 100% straight. Like, no BS, no fluff. Like, this is what your expectations should be. This is how you should operate. You should really learn trading psychology, money management. You should build your own algorithm, test your own indicators. And, from there, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. So I got into Forex. I started trading on my personal account. At this time, I was in school trying to get my bachelor's degree at TCU, and I started trading Forex. And I'm like, why do I need to go to school if I can make, 5,000 in a day? Like, I've figured out the market. I'm ready to do this full time. I don't need to go back to school. And as you can see, yeah, we took a long tumble down. Um, Around here, COVID, I ended up taking out a very small loan of like $500 because I believed in myself that I could trade. I was able to pay back that $500 and keep the rest. But then once I started trading, I started to basically get ahead of myself, and I started losing. It wasn't until the oil crash where I made, at that time, to me, a lot of money. It's like 4,500, and the most I could have made was 14,000. But things happen. You're in the heat of the moment. You know the market's going to go down. But what I didn't know at the time, because I have much experiences during crashes, is that things don't just fall straight down. Um, they may go down 10%, recover 3-4%, and then go down another 10%. But I didn't know that. I got greedy. Just plain simple fact. So I learned my lesson there. And then for a few years, I kind of decided, I'm just gonna try to trade professionally because I didn't really have much money to fund my trading account. So I did that, and my expectations were really high. I thought I was gonna pass first go around. It's definitely not what happened. It was actually discouraging because, I'm like, I know how to trade. Like, I back tested my system a lot. Like, what is going on? So I ended up taking a few months off, came back at it again, and I ended up passing. And I had a really rough start because I was doing 2% risk. I scaled that back to 1% risk, and I had really good result from it. Here, I'm thinking I'm halfway to my profit target, 6% in 6 months. I'm gonna pass this. This is gonna be a breeze. Nah, that's not what happened. Because right after that, it was ups and downs, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff. At that point, I have less than 60 days to get 6%. I am feeling like this is impossible. This is also during the worst time of my life. It was unfathomable on how I was going to accomplish this. But it's one thing about me that has always been consistent is that I don't give up. Even when times are extremely tough, there's always some part of me that has some optimism that keeps me going. So I figured I got this far. I might as well trade out the rest of my 60 days because I don't know what's going to happen. And I went on an insane win streak to get that 6%. So I think that just my trading journey in general, it's been a long one. I took a lot of time off of trading to also get into real estate investing full time, whether that's wholesaling, creative finance, you name it. I've tried it. I wasn't successful, obviously, but it was a great learning experience. I made some really great connections along the way. And this year I started to pretty much pursue options full time. So what happened with this is once I passed this, there was actually regulation for U.S. traders and foreign exchange markets where essentially overseas brokers or prop firms like this one that I was doing the evaluation for, they had to restrict U.S. traders from using their platform, which was at the time 8cap. So it put me in a bind. Once they finally figured things out, a few months later, they told me, hey, you're good to go, except now we have new investors. You have to redo your accreditation. I'm like, I'm sure you can believe, like, that really pissed me off because I already failed one time. The second time around, like, I legit passed. I spent a lot of my time, kind of going through this cycle and passing, and then now you're telling me I have to do it again. And I was just like, nah, like, I'm not doing that. This was probably around the start of the summer of 2024. So at that time, I got into Maverick trading. I've heard about Maverick trading previously before with VP and No Nonsense Forex because he's with their currencies division. But I never had I don't want to say I didn't have I had the capital to put towards starting this, but I chose to spend it in other ways. But the summer of 2024, I just decided that I'm going to go all my chips to the middle of the table with this. And it's a lengthy process. You have to go through a course. You have to create a trading plan. You have to demo trade that trading plan, which at this current point in time, I am up almost 12%. And since the start of February, which I am beating the S&P by, I believe it's half a percentage. However, a lot of my upside has been capped because they require you to trade spreads, which gives you a defined profit and loss. So it really caps your upside, which sucks. Because if I were able to do calls, yeah, right now the S&P is up almost 10.5%. So if I were able to do calls, I would get results like this one here with AMD. Started with 2,000. I'm up almost 40,000. It's a more efficient way to really scale your account when you're able to buy call options and buy put options versus just being relegated to spreads. But I should be starting with a live account with them pretty soon, within the next couple of weeks. I'm really looking forward to it. As far as my personal account, I started trading beginning of February. I had my ups and downs. Around here, I started to gain momentum and finally get some wins. Because here, it was just straight down. The highest amount of money that I lost was probably around about 1,400 on the year. And I'm like, do I really know how to trade options? Because I was doing like call options. I wasn't doing credit spreads, which is essentially what I've been doing or learning from the very beginning. Has always been credit spreads. This was around 2019. I started with a $10,000 account. The money in the parentheses is how much I made for the week. This is how much I'm risking, I'm profiting, and the percentage return. So I ended up doing really well. That $10,000 account actually turned all the way up into, I want to say 200,000 before I stopped. I did suffer a loss here. But this is when COVID happened and the market fell like something crazy, 9% in a day. Like it was insane. And as you can see here, the C is where I would sell a call credit spread, not a put credit spread. So essentially, that's just whenever the market is going down and I am selling a call credit spread, that just means that here I'm saying that the price, which in this case is the SPY, is not going to rise above, let's say, 350. So I'm selling a call credit spread that the price is not going to rise to 350 at the end of the week, and I collect the premium, which is 2,600. This is how much I'm risking, and those are the percentage returns. Since it was a really crazy market back then, like the premium was elevated, so I was able to get much higher percentage returns. And this is typically what I would do if I was doing if my account value was high enough. So on here it wasn't, so I had to kind of reinvent myself, and that came in the form of call options, and I got my first big break with MSTR. I actually closed that one out. It was a call option. I made around 2,600. I closed it out at the start of my work shift because I'm not allowed to have my phone. I can typically use my phone again at lunch. So I just decided to close my profit out early. Had I waited to lunch, I would have made 6,000 to 7,000 more just by waiting a few hours. It's the same with the car trade that happened with Avis. I ended up selling way too early. Sold at the beginning of my work shift once again, and I profited 3,600 when at the end of the day that same contract was worth over 10,000. So I would have made 9,000, and had I held the next day as well, I would have made even more money. But hindsight is 2020. When you're trading, you just got to live with whatever decision you make, because the regret, the would have, should have, could have, can really eat you alive. So you gotta stay away from that. So, but yeah, my journey, my personal account so far has been a decent one. There's parts of execution that I really believe if I just fix those, I would have probably 30,000 more in my account than what I have here. Something like a AMD. I did a leap option, so that just means that really, really far dated call option that was going to expire at the start of January of 2027. I sold for, it's like $200, less than $200. So this contract now is worth, I believe last time I checked, 10,000. No, it's is it worth? Let's see right here. Okay, 12,000. So yeah, I'll be up almost 11,000 just on the AMD. I got a signal for that way far back, just on the daily chart. It's way back here. So the start of April. Got a signal to go long. I am a trend trader. I don't do mean reversions. I don't do reversals. I don't do any of that. It's never been kind of my interest. But just in general, AMD, something like Micron, I got in the start of May 4th. I traded this on the weekly actually. So yeah, I mean, this is what I love about my algorithm that I created and back tested, thousands of hours. It's really great at catching trends, and I know specifically what to look for. That really helps not only keep me out of choppy environments like all this right here, but it helps me get into trends a lot earlier. I know specifically on this meme stock space, it's helped me get into it. Right now it's trending on the weekly, but I got into it It's Wednesday. I wish I would have got in a day before, but Wednesday is when I got into it. So, I've been able to catch this move up, the momentum up, and hopefully, it does exactly what GME did a few years ago, and also AMC, where, there's really large gamma squeeze that happens. And because so many people are buying call options, to put it very simply, there's a market maker that needs to hedge for themselves. So when there's a lot of people buying call options, they have to then buy the underlying stock, which then pushes the price up a ton. This is insane, like up 50%, 18%, 92%, 134%. So it's definitely possible. And we'll see what happens with space. And, this is the gamma squeeze that I was referring to. You can see how many calls that were bought just on Friday alone, 450,000 to 101,000 puts. Like, that's insane. Usually when you see this type of disparity, the underlying tends to explode. Even on something like Palantir that went up, 10 to 13% one day, you can see how many calls that were bought, how many puts that were bought. It's just all about catching those trends, those patterns, and, using them to your best advantage. I think for me, I'm going to just document my trading journey, not only on a professional level, but personal level as well. I don't want to say I'm the best trader out there ever, but it's something that I'm going to be working towards, and something that, I know I can be extremely elite at it. And my goal is to kind of just help people see that this is possible, help people kind of bridge the gap between a lot of the difficult terminology, kind of sifting through all of the fluff that's out there. Because I know without no nonsense Forex, I don't know where I would be. I'm sure I'd be kind of looking all over, like, where do I start? What do I do? Like, is this the right strategy? Like, there's a lot of things that people will tell other people on YouTube that I disagree with, especially when it comes to how to trade. You see all these people talk about, oh, this is the best strategy ever, 100% win rate, 90% win rate. That's inflating your expectations. You have to be very realistic with it. And for me, I am realistic, but at the same time, I also want to take risk, because, that's how even somebody like Michael Burry, the Big Short, you don't make billions of dollars if you're not willing to, put up a significant amount of capital. So on this personal account, it's kind of going to be a mixture between, structured professional level trading, but then also I'm gonna take risk, especially for something like space. It's a risk that I'm willing to take, to not only buy in more, but, be prepared for the next thing that goes parabolic, or the next opportunity. So that's kind of my journey. This video is actually much shorter than the one that I did 12 hours ago at like midnight. because I was dead tired and I kind of felt like I was rambling, to be honest. So right now I am most likely going to look into selling the rest of my crypto, my Solana. I'm unsure about Quant. This is something I really believe in. I'll probably make a video on that, on why that is, but this is something I know it's going to be really valuable soon in the future. So not sure about selling that, but yeah, my Solana, sayonara. I'm going to use that capital to deploy to other places, just because of the percentage returns. Like, so it's not giving me much, but I know I can make a lot more than what it's giving me just by trading options. So yeah, so this is episode 1. Eventually I'll kind of get into the chart and kind of show things that are more specific, like what this EM means, its expected move, which is this number here, that they provide on a weekly basis or even a daily basis. So this is how much the SPY is expected to move on June 1st, plus or minus almost $5. So that's something that can be used. And even some of the economic data that I'm really into, I'll be able to kind of break some of that stuff down as well. But yeah, this is my journey to $1 million, and I look forward to just documenting that journey. Once I start with Maverick, I'll start at a $25,000 account, but to get to the next level, I think there's a total of 6, and the highest is a $200,000 account. I don't think it's going to take long. I'm probably going to be more conservative with that than kind of how I'm doing my personal account. But that's just one prop firm. I'm also going to do prop firms for futures. I've done some of that a couple of months ago, but that was more so automated trading using a trading bot and Python scripts. So yeah, it's I want to say long road ahead of me, but if I had to estimate how long it would take for me to get to $1 million, I would probably say, let's say 2 years. 2 years from now, I will have had $1 million in my brokerage account. Whether that's $1 million that I'm trading, $1 million worth that I'm trading between my individual brokerage account and my prop firm or professional trading accounts, I definitely think 2 years from now is doable. So, I've renamed my brokerage account to All Money In. Shout out Nipsey, RP. He's been really somebody who has helped me elevate my mentality on how I view myself, the world, what I can accomplish, what my potential is. Like, it's definitely important to kind of have someone like that can speak to you, that sparks the flame and that keeps you going. And it's same with Kobe, same with Ray Lewis. They've all been very vital in helping me just stay the course, even in the lows, understanding that, my today isn't going to look like my tomorrow. And as long as I have optimism about the future and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in the present, everything is going to fall in line. So, and to never be afraid of failing. Failing is only when you quit. I also think that, it's definitely important to have the mentality, psychology, not only around trading, but just whatever you're doing in life. So, yeah, this is episode 1, and I look forward to providing more videos.